For privacy reasons, Sophia will describe how I took charge of my life and stopped my husband Sanders' destructive influence. Since I'm a well-known lawyer in my state, anonymity is important for a number of reasons. Let's not get into the specifics of Matt and Sanders' love story, which began when they fell in love, got married, and eventually divorced. The love didn't seem to be reciprocated because Sanders cheated on me. The signs were obvious: avoidance, excessive time spent outside, and frequent business trips, even though I wasn't involved in his vast business. My success as a lawyer made Xander think I was a failure because I made less money than him. One day, while on one of his alleged business trips, I decided to look into it and found a secret Facebook account on his old laptop that confirmed my suspicions that he was cheating with a beautiful woman, someone he discovered more attractive than me. I was heartbroken and angry, so I confronted him right away and asked, "Sandra, are you cheating on me? I have proof." He retorted coldly, "Sophia, you're just not that interesting anymore. You're always absorbed in meaningless cases, ignoring me, and you're not a supermodel who can captivate me with appearances alone." I was perplexed, so I shot back, "What are you talking about, Sanders? I have a demanding job, and you knew that when we got married. I haven't neglected you. It's you who stopped coming home and refused to communicate." That's how I found out about Sanders' affair. When I finally made the decision to confront him, I expected some remorse, but was taken aback by his blaming me, claiming that Xander said, "Good that you found out, Sophia. I no longer have to hide my beautiful girlfriend. She and I will have a perfect life together after I divorce your useless self. Finally, I will marry someone who's worthy of me and my name." His words hit me like a ton of bricks, sending a chill down my spine. He refused to defend his position, refused to be falsely accused, and pointed out the flaws in his accusations after I pointed them out. When he talked about getting a divorce, he not only insulted me, but also claimed that I was unworthy of him, calling me a wicked wife and boasting that a mistress would make a better spouse. Tears ran down my cheeks as he denigrated me and proudly announced his affair. This was the man I had loved for more than 10 years, and his words broke my heart. "Sanders, I asked how he could say that after years of being with you, keeping my word, and valuing you above all else." His reply was heartless. I protested, "How could you, Xander? I'm a capable woman even if I don't fit your narrow definition of beauty. I've been a good wife to you, and now you're contemplating divorce, correcting me." He said coldly, "I'm not contemplating divorce, Sophia. I've already decided to divorce you. I'm done. I don't want to be with you anymore." He cut deep when he dismissed my worth, saying, "Well, Sophia, it doesn't matter anymore. You're just not right for me." A few hours after Xander hung up on me, he sent the divorce papers through a friend who looked at me sympathetically. I numbly accepted the papers, shut the door, and sobbed pitifully as the reality of my wasted years with a horrible man set in, but I decided I wouldn't let this break me because I was a strong woman who would take charge of her life and teach Xander a lesson. I'll file soon and have already hired a fantastic lawyer. You better move out before I come home. I don't want to see your ugly face anymore. Discussed extending the divorce, which at first confused me because we had a prep. Xander had insisted that I should have half of his business if he cheated, something I had forgotten in my emotional turmoil. It made sense why he wanted to extend the divorce. He hoped I would give up my rightful share, determined not to let go of what was rightfully mine. I called his lawyer and scheduled an appointment right away, and 2 days later, I moved out of Sanders' house and into my childhood home, which was registered in my name. I texted Xander to let him know that I had already moved my belongings, saying, "I took my ugly face and body out of your Dan's house. Good that you've come to your senses and are not making a fuss." Xander replied, bragging about his lawyer's reputation, but I calmly warned him, "I will give you my business, that's for sure. For now, you will stay away from me, determined to uphold the prep." I was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. "I don't want to talk to you. You can only speak to me through my lawyers now, and I expect you to empty my house." Xander's words caused my blood to boil with rage. Can strengthen one's resolve. When confronted with such complete disdain, my mind cleared, and I couldn't help but laugh at Sanders' ignorance. He didn't know who he was up against, and I doubted that his lawyer, Jake, knew either. I set up a meeting with him at a cafe, and when he saw me, Jake started to shake visibly before he calmed down. He seemed confident, but not enough. Jake was a competent lawyer, but he hadn't expected to face someone like me. Xander never thought of me as influential, so Jake was completely unprepared for our encounter. I said, "Hello, Jay, nice to see you here. I noticed his surprise and said, "Yes, I'm the wife, ma'am. I'm so sorry. I wasn't expecting you to show up." Jake stammered, flustered by my presence. The surnames don't match because I got married after receiving my law degree. I used my maiden name for official purposes. I explained. "Ah, I see," Jake muttered, visibly uncomfortably. "So I'm guessing you want to drag this out." "My client told me that your client has been deceiving you, Jake, and that he wants to prolong this case." I confronted him directly because I knew that my reputation as a lawyer spoke volumes, and Jake squirmed under my scrutiny. I didn't mince words, "So you don't have to answer that, Jake. I've known Xander for more than 10 years. I married that idiot for heaven's sake, so I know what goes through his thick head. I decided to enlighten him because I know you, and it's unfair to him." "What do you mean, ma'am?" "Jake," I asked pointedly, looking at Jake's face for confirmation, "did my dear husband mention to you that he cheated on me?" Jake was taken aback by my revelation. I won't lie to you guys. Admitting to my colleague that I've been cheated on is not a pleasant experience, but I knew better than to betray my emotions. No matter how humiliated I felt, I still had the upper hand, and I was well aware. Jake, however, was unaware of that and said, "Oh, I don't think my client has told me about that, but he did warn me that, in his words, you would make some baseless accusations because you want to ruin him." "Oh, you poor thing, Jake, your client has played you like a fiddle. It may make you happy to know that Sander thinks you are one of the best lawyers out there, but that's a big compliment, but I will never measure up to you, ma'am." Jake admitted, "I wish he had told me that his wife also practices law." Accomplishments, seriously, he had a tendency to undermine my work and influence. It was stupid of me to stay with him this long, but it was wise of me to sign the prenup to protect my butt. I revealed that Jake was taken aback when the word prenup was mentioned. He looked shocked, and the term seemed unfamiliar to him. I didn't mean to be a rocket scientist to know that he had been ambushed again. Xander had conveniently forgotten to mention the prenup to Jake, possibly hoping that I had forgotten about it, but who knew? It didn't matter because Jake had heard about the pup. I had a suspicion that Xander would try to avoid dealing with the consequences of his actions, but not on my wife's watch. "I would really like to see the papers, ma'am, and I believe I would need to see proof of his affair if you have any." "Don't worry, Jake, I brought everything along." Frazzled, "There is a prenuptial agreement in this marriage, and your husband hadn't mentioned that." "Do you have any proof, ma'am?" Jake asked. "Oh, I have plenty of proof, Jake." Jake looked at me and said, "I see that you have solid proof of everything, ma'am." I had no idea about all of these things. "I figured that out, Jake. I also know how difficult it is to work with unreliable clients, especially when the opposite party has an equally strong lawyer for their case." I casually handed Jake all the evidence, including messages, pictures, and documents, from my handbag, knowing that the case would always end up in my face. "You're right, ma'am. I think that's all I needed to talk about today. Before I decide to move forward with my client's case, I think I need to have a serious conversation with him. I'm sure someone will get in touch with you soon, though I can't guarantee it will be me." I could tell what Jake was hinting at, but I didn't comment on it. I thanked him for his time and left the cafe, heading straight to work and beginning to prepare my own divorce paperwork. All of the remaining sadness vanished, and now I felt a burning desire to ensure that Xander suffered. I knew he had no way out of the mess he had made, and it took him a day to get back to me. He called me on my number, even though I had told him not to call me directly. It was funny, but I knew he would end up in this situation. When I answered, he sounded very angry. "What the hell did you say to my lawyer, Sophia?" "My look, who's calling after telling me to stay away?" "What happened with your lawyer, Xander?" "Tell me what you told him that caused him to quit today." "Oh, I would like to see you try, Xander. I will hire a better lawyer, and I doubt you will just wait and watch as I destroy you in court. You will come to me pleading for mercy." "Well, that sounds like a plan, and good luck with that. However, a lawyer's advice, remember to tell your new lawyer about your affair and the print-up." Sander just hung up on me when I said that. Sad Sander. I suppose you should have been a friend about your situation and who they would be fighting against you. You are a freaking nobody. Made me laugh. He was in serious trouble, but he didn't realize it. He tried every lawyer in town to see if anyone would take his case. Since I'm well known here, people avoid me, and anyone foolish enough to think his lies would be exposed would be forced to face the truth. When I showed them my ammunition, Sanders said he would force me to beg for forgiveness. I knew it would only be a matter of time before he would return pleading at my door, and I was correct to assume that he would be begging there one fine morning. When my soon-to-be ex-husband knocked on my door as I was getting ready for work, I was a little taken aback by who had come at such an odd hour. I invited him inside because I didn't want the scene outside my house to be too public. I was already dealing with enough. When he arrived, I said, "Make it quick, Xander. I don't have enough time to waste on you. I don't even know why you're here. We were supposed to communicate strictly through lawyers only." "Oh, that's sad. You had better move quickly, Xander, because I've heard that your mistress has been vying for your hand in marriage. I don't care about her anymore, Sophia. We need to talk. You've been sabotaging my lawyer so that they wouldn't take my case, which is really unfair." I laughed when he said that, and it was another example of how little he valued my profession. He believed that people would pull at my feet simply because he was willing to throw money. "Oh, that's a great joke, Xander LB. Just to clear that up for you, I hadn't been sabotaging anything. What's causing trouble is your stupidity. I don't know what I did, and should I remind you that you lied to your lawyers about the affair and the prep? That's enough to make them look foolish in court. Do you think lawyers would jump at the chance to represent untrustworthy clients like you? In addition, I'll admit that my name will make a lot of people leave. You may think I'm worthless, but I do have a good reputation in this." Sanders' face said it all. He didn't want to lose his business, which is why he tried to find a good lawyer and drag out the divorce. He wanted to keep me hanging long enough for me to lose it, so he really should have thought your affair through, Xander. Now that the damage is done, no lawyer would fight for your cause, and you'll be giving me half of your business. I've tried being open with lawyers too, but none of them are willing to help me. That's what happens when you try to go against an ironclad proof. After a few days, he realized that no one would support him, and he was even having trouble finding a lawyer who would oppose me. So in what he believed to be his last resort, he began to cry and beg Sophia, "You know how much this business means to me. Please don't do this. You can take everything else, but please don't ask to split the business." "Why not, Xander? You're the one who put in the clause of splitting the business in case you cheated, and you think I will give up my rights that easily I deserve." "It was all a mistake. Sophia and I have put my relationship on hold because I know what a huge mistake it was. However, I can assure you that this obstacle will only make us stronger." Sanders' words made me laugh aloud once more. This man's audacity was unmatched by anyone I knew, and I truly didn't know what to say. He was actually asking to get back together as if I would be foolish enough to do that. I didn't know that he had put a pause on his relationships. It was rumored that he and his mistress were not happy, but if he believes that this will force me to return to him, he is completely mistaken. I'd already made the mistake of marrying someone else and learned my lesson the hard way, so I knew why he was suddenly desperate to win me back. "You must be insane for suggesting such a thing, Sanders. I know that you want to get back to me because you don't want to split your business, Sophia. We were pleased together, so let's move on. As for me, this is my golden opportunity to leave this sham of a marriage. I must thank you for revealing your true colors before we had children. Now you will reap what you sowed with that." I was pretty much done with my piece, and I immediately stopped talking while Xander kept begging and pleading with me not to take his business. "I will cut off my mistress. I swear, there is no reason to do that, and trust me, that woman will start running once she learns that you won't be very wealthy after the divorce." Karma hit Xander hard and fast. He tried for weeks to change my mind and force me to return home, but I ignored everything because I wasn't interested in his drama and was ready to move on since he had already filed for divorce. It didn't move me at all, but rather brought back memories of the times I went to bed crying because this exploitative person I call my husband chose to betray me. Seeing Xander in a vulnerable situation only made me happy and fulfilled my revenge. Now I just needed a fresh start. He knew that if I took the case to court, he would only face humiliation and ultimately waste money on lawyers appointed by the court, so he withdrew and asked for a mutual split. The prenuptial agreement made it extremely easy for me to get the divorce, of course, and I had plenty of evidence to show everyone that Xander cheated as per the prep he was supposed to. I'm not a divorce lawyer, so I couldn't do it myself, and I wanted the least amount of interaction with him as possible. After a month of trying to change my mind, he was forced to get a lawyer and ask for a clean break. We offered him the opportunity to buy me out, but he had no money. Why would a large business owner like Xander have no money? Well, he had spent it all on his mistress, who is no longer returning his calls or texts. I suppose she realized that he would no longer be wealthy, but now that everyone knows what a gold digger she is, no one wants to date her. I suppose the mistress was the least of Sandra's problems. He had to sell his house because he didn't have enough money to maintain it or even pay the mortgage. He's now renting a condo, which is a significant downgrade from the large mansion he stayed at. He tried to get back with me again in the hopes of regaining full control of his business, but it's safe to say that will never happen. He now has to either keep things the way they are or manage to save enough money to buy me out. If you're curious about me, I'm actually doing fairly well. I've appointed someone to look after my share of Sandra's business, and so far, everything is going great. I've upgraded my lifestyle by purchasing a new mansion thanks to the money I make from both my business and law practice. Overall, the divorce worked out well for me. Rather than being taken advantage of by my ex-husband and his mistress, I ended up ruining their lives and improving mine.